Hello, everyone. Welcome to Marketing Monday. I am Courtney Newell, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Now, today we're going to be talking about one of the questions I get asked the most about. Well, one of the questions I get asked the most about. And this one is going to be all around paid versus earned media. Now, when we're talking about paid versus earned media, there are really a couple key things that I want you to consider before you try either of these marketing methods. But before I jump into those, I do want to say that they're both very important to your brand. And today we're going to go over when you need to focus on either or. All right. So, first and foremost, let's go ahead and get started. When it comes to paid media, I want you to think about paid ads on Facebook, YouTube ads, Google ads, anything that you anything that you pay to play. Okay. That's going to be your paid media. Next is earned media. And earned media is really one of my specialties. And that's really when you're not paying for the publicity, you're not paying for the you're not paying for the exposure, but you're still able to reach a targeted audience. And so earned media is really going to be things like features on Forbes or features in magazines or being on the local news stations. Those tend to be, not only if they're done really well, you can really get a maximum return on investment and return on influence because you are now going to be seen by tons of people, if not millions of people in your target audience. So when we're talking about paid versus earned media, one of the key questions I get is, well, can I just use earned media and avoid paid media altogether? And the answer isn't necessarily a solid answer. It really has to come down to it depends, which I know a lot of people hate that whole it depends answer. But when it comes to paid media, I really want you to think about how important it is, first and foremost, to make sure that you're thinking about your target audience. When we're talking about paid media or earned media, it all really starts with who your target audience is. And when we're talking about your target audience, one of the key things that you really want to think about is not only the demographics, but also the psychographics. And I talk about this heavily in my book, Future Proof. But when we're talking about demographics are really going to be around characteristics of that consumer. So women, men, age range, education level, marital status. Do they have kids? If so, how many? All those different things make up the demographics. Now, when we're talking about psychographics, that's really thinking about how they buy. And one of the key things is also how they buy, but then also when they buy and what they buy when they decide to buy. So think about psychographics as, if you know someone's anniversary is coming up and they're having a 10-year anniversary or a 5-year anniversary, you may want to think about what kind of things they would be buying and how they buy. Okay, so that's just a really broad example of psychographics. But when we're talking about paid versus earned media, when we're looking at earned media versus paid media for clients, the first thing that we're thinking about is, do we want to have more influence first, or do we want to get more sales first? And the reason why it's important to think about this is because if you're going more of the influence route, then the influence route tends to mean that you are playing more of a longer game. And when we're talking about longer game, I really want you to think about, if you are selling a high ticket item, if you're selling to a large corporation, if you're selling a program or a service that it takes a little bit longer for people to feel comfortable buying, then you really want to focus on influence, which is going to be earned media. And when we're talking about earned media, I want you to think about, first and foremost, starting with your local news stations. That means the local TV, local newspapers, local blogs. All of those things really are the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to building your influence. And again, the reason why earned media is so very important with this is because when we're talking about influence, when we're talking about getting someone to make a decision around something that it may take them a little longer to make that decision, one, because it can be expensive, or two, they want to feel like they can trust the person who's doing that service, then it's a big decision for them. You really want to make sure that you focus on earned media first. And so think about it. Anytime you've gone on someone's website and you've seen the as seen in, or you just saw them on the news, or you just read about them in a newspaper, you automatically, your guard is lowered. You feel a little bit more comfortable. You feel like they're trustworthy. You can sometimes see their testimonials. You can see their reviews. All those different things start to happen, and that helps you to lower your guard. And again, helps you feel like you know them and you can trust them a little bit easier. Versus paid media. So let's say you are still that person who's selling something that would take someone a little bit longer to make that decision, or you're selling something that is high ticket. If the person doesn't feel, if they don't know you, it's going to take a lot longer for you to convert them into a paid customer. And so when we're talking about paid media, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, paying to be on someone's blog, anything like that, it takes a little bit longer to convert. So whenever we're starting with a client, we always try to start with earned media. We always try to start with getting them featured in some sort of media outlet, because we want to make sure that we're building their influence in local markets and in national markets, and sometimes international markets if their scope of service expands internationally. And again, you can always use the earned media. So let's say you are featured in Forbes, or let's say you secure a local TV interview, you can repurpose that through through paid media. Okay. So let's go through an example of this. Let's say, for example, you are a contractor, you specialize in custom pools. That is a high ticket purchase. That's going to be something that people typically ask for referrals from friends, Facebook friends, neighbors, things like that, in order to make that decision, because it's a pricey decision. And if it goes wrong, it's going to be pricey also to repair that. So when it comes to, if you are a pool contractor, the first thing that I would recommend, or if you're someone who's selling high ticket, the first thing that I would recommend is to first and foremost think about your target audience. Who is going to be the person who's making the decision? What are some of the things that they would need to hear to feel comfortable and know that you are the competent option for them? So think through, okay, well, how long have they been in business? Are they licensed and insured? Do they have any reviews online? How long have they been in business? Can they show me some past work of things that they've done? All of those things are going to be things that you want to be thinking about. So when we're crafting your message for a TV placement, or if we're crafting your message for a local news write-up, those are going to be things that we want to make sure that we address in a way that it's telling your story. So let's walk through an example of this. If you're a pool contractor, a perfect time to do a pool segment would be right before summer, right? Like right before summer, right before everyone's thinking about getting in their pool. So let's say we start thinking about that around spring, okay? And around springtime, we put together a write-up on top 10 things that you need to consider before ever investing in a pool. And you may want to have those things identified, and it comes from you as your expert opinion, but in there, you'll be able to repurpose that article. You'll be able to use those keys that you have identified as pain points that people may need addressed before they make a big decision like that. You will then repurpose that, and you can use those same tools and those same tips to also secure a local media TV interview. And then from there, you can repurpose that with Facebook ads. Okay. So once you get that clip, you can rerun those ads showing your clip on the local CBS or NBC or whatever. Also, let's go over another example of that. Let's say you are a coach or a consultant, a high ticket consultant. If you are someone who is a high ticket consultant, one of the things that you may want to be thinking about is how you're going to enroll more people into your new program. Let's say it's a Get Well fitness program. If that is you, then one of the things that you would want to be thinking about as well is there's so many people who are in that niche. So you may want to think through, okay, what's going to be the best way for me to make sure that I'm reaching my target audience? So first and foremost, get really specific on who your target audience is. So that target audience may be, let's say you're helping executive men who are trying to lose weight. Or let's say you're working with new moms who just had a child and they're trying to get healthier, working out with their kids. Whatever that looks like, those are two totally different demographics. So you really want to think through who your target demographic is, what they need to hear, how your program or how your service, how your product or service really can impact their lives. And then from there, you're going to be able to help create the story and create the different talking points that you can use and you can leverage via earned media or paid media. So let's go through an example of paid media and a great time to use paid media. So let's say Facebook ads. When you already have results, when you have had some big wins in media, if you have something that could be a low ticket or something that's free that will get someone a quick win, that's a great time to use paid media. So let's say, again, let's use that fitness instructor as an example. If you are that fitness instructor, a great time to use paid ads would be if you've gotten some great results for people and now you have a free quick start guide on how to lose your first 10 pounds or something like that, or healthy eating guide on how to eat healthy with how to eat healthy when going out. So those may be examples of things that you can do to use paid media for, and Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, and even LinkedIn ads. Now, one of the things that I really recommend that I feel like a lot of people aren't using is when it comes to paid ads, is you have to make sure you have a retargeting journey for your customers. Because whether you realize it or not, it's a lot more expensive, I'll say, to target a cold audience. And when we're targeting a cold audience of your customers, one thing that tends to happen is people spend so much money on awareness, and that first, I want to get people to my website. I want to get people to my website. I want people to sign up. But most people won't sign up the first time they go to your website. Most people won't buy the products the first time they're seeing you. So typically, on average, only about 10%, sometimes less than 10%, will buy the first time they ever see you. It's more around 3 to 4%. It's a little bit higher right now based on recent data. But when we're talking about converting people, you really want to think about your customer journey. So either paid or earned media, the one thing I really want to encourage you to do is think about your customer journey. So step number one is they go to your website. What do they need to see? What do you want to give them right away? Whether it be information, a freebie, a discount, what is it that you want to give them in order for them to feel immediately comfortable and that you're the credible option for them? Is that a guide? Is it a discount? Is it a webinar? Is it a free copy of your ebook? Is it a discount code? What does that look like for you? And one of the things I always like to do when it comes to creating the customer journey is I like to think through what would make me buy. Let me put myself in my prospective customer shoes and think through what would I need in order for me to feel comfortable. I also think through what are my last few purchases that I made and what was the journey like from there and what made me buy that product. So really think through and think about how you've bought in the past and what would make you buy as well. Because it's not all about the sale. It's really about the life and the longevity of that customer that you're going to have. All right. So the first thing is thinking through the customer journey. The first thing is thinking through your target customer. The second thing is thinking through your customer journey. And then the third thing is actually writing those stories that are going to help them see that you are the option that they need and you are the best fit for the pain that they're feeling. And so, of course, with every single thing, you always want to make sure that it's authentic, because authenticity is everything. And there's so many people competing for the same business. I really want you to think about how you can connect with your audience. And the best way to do that is through being that authentic, your authentic self. So when we're talking about those stories, think through, we talked about this last week, which is your hero journey. And your hero journey is really around sharing how long you've been doing this, the things that you've tried, what you saw in the market and why you decided to enter the market. That's really one of the base stories that you can share with your audience or prospective audience to help them feel connected to you, connected to your product, connected to your journey. The next thing that's going to really help you support that journey is going to be testimonials. Sharing, if you can't share, because we have a lot of clients, especially larger companies, that we can't necessarily share publicly their name and their logos. So when you're dealing with something like that, one of the things that you want to do is you want to highlight the ones that you can highlight. And also you can talk about in broad terms, how many people have you helped? How many years have you been in business? And then when you can share those testimonials, you share those testimonials. Another great way to build that rapport is to consistently show up. And this is one of the things that it's really simple, but it's not necessarily always easy, is consistently showing up. One of the things that we like to encourage customers to do, especially if you are in the professional services space, is to engage with your customers. Make sure that whenever you can, you build an email list with them and you're regularly engaging with them. If you have a webinar, upcoming training, if you just hired some new people, let them know what's going on with you. People love to get those updates to see that your company's growing, that you're expanding, that you're offering new services. People love that. And that's a great way for you to build that rapport with them, especially when we're talking about high ticket products and services. And I can't emphasize this enough. When we're talking about a customer journey, whether it be paid media, earned media, that's just the starting point. So whether the person sees you on a Forbes article, whether they see you on the Today Show, or whether they saw your Facebook ads, that's the beginning of your relationship with them. So you want to make sure that you make a really amazing first impression. And then once you get them to your website, which should be the next step, or once you get them in your inbox, once you're in their inbox, if you're using Facebook ads that go to Messenger ads, which we're not going to get into the technical part of paid media today. But when we're talking about that, I really want you to think about what it looks like for you to be able to create that relationship with your customers and to create a long-lasting relationship with them. So once they become paid customers, they continue to come back time and time again. And now you also have what we like to call an ascension model. So let's say first things first, this is the lowest hanging fruit. This is the quick win that you can get them. Once they win here and once they've succeeded here, what's going to be level 2? What's going to be level 3? What's going to be level 4? And is there some sort of maintenance? And you should be thinking about this, whether it's a high ticket customer, let's say it's a large corporation, you still want to think about those steps for them. If it's let's say you're selling a lower ticket item, you still want to think about those steps. It doesn't matter if we're talking about macro or micro, it's really still going to be the same. You really want to think through that customer journey, and you really want to, what I like to say, out-service everyone. Okay. And that's our motto at Crowned is OSC, out-service everyone, because there's so many consumers and there's so many competitors in every market. But one thing that's missing, and it's pretty much the most basic idea, but something that most companies fail to deliver, is excellent customer service. So if you can be one that outperforms and make sure that you provide excellent service and you outservice everyone, then you will automatically be the go-to person, the company that people recommend, the products that people can't help but talk about when they're talking to their friends, or when people ask them on Facebook, hey, I'm looking for a company that offers XYZ, you will be the one that they think about. So again, when we're talking about paid versus earned media, before I let you go from this session of Marketing Monday, is first and foremost, think about who it is that you're targeting, how it is that you can help them. Next, I want you to think about what media channels will be the best for you to reach them. Think about blogs that they visit. Think about places they may eat. Think about what kind of books they read. Think about all of those different things that would help you be able to better target and identify where your customers are. The reason why this is important for paid or earned media is because it helps you to be able to lower your advertisement costs when it comes to targeting specific interests and specific targeting on your Facebook ads, your Google ads. I also want you to think about keywords. And this is one of the things that people a lot of times overlook, is when we're talking about keywords, think about keywords that can be very technical, but also think on a third grade or fifth grade level of, if someone's looking at how to lose weight, what would they type in Google? Okay. If someone was looking for how to eat healthier, what would they type in Google? And think about it almost on a fifth grade level. And the reason why I say a fifth grade level is because you want to make it as simple as possible. And when people are trying to ask their questions on Google, most times they make it as simple as possible. So you want to make sure that you're thinking from that frame of mind as well. And then next, last, but definitely not least, probably the most important of all of it, putting it all together, is your customer journey. Your customer journey is so very important because it's going to help tie all of this together. What's step number one? They're on your website. What now? They've hit your landing page. What now? They purchased. What now? Do you just say, oh, great, thanks for making this payment, see you later? I hope not, right? So really think through what that customer journey is going to look like for you. And it should at least span for 9 to 12 months. You should have a way that you can continuously talk and connect with your customer and build that deeper rapport with them and continue to serve them, even if they made a high ticket purchase. So let's say, for example, we're going back to that example from earlier today. Let's say they hired you to be the contractor for their custom pool. If that's the case, you still want to make sure that you are keeping contact with them and you're consistently touching base with them. It doesn't have to be every week. I hope not, right? But you want to make sure that you're constantly touching base with them. So let's say, for example, you're that pool contractor. Let's go through an example of what a series would look like, a follow-up series or a customer journey may look like for them. They first see your advertisement, they go to your website, they then are prompted to schedule for a free quote. They may see some testimonials on the site. They may see some as seen in features. Let's say you come to their house, you give them a quote. What happens next? Well, I can tell you what I would recommend happens next. What I would recommend happens next is if they go with the quote, then you go ahead and you schedule their time. You help them pick out the colors. You give them tips on how to choose the perfect pool finish and how to decide between saltwater and chlorine pool. All those different options would be a part of the process and a part of the customer journey or the funnel. And then let's think about it after the pool construction's done. After that, I would continuously touch base with them. These are some tips to make sure that your pools always has the perfect pH. A few months later, these are some tips on how to keep your pool nice and sparkly in the summertime. Like all these different talking points that would help them be able to feel like they're consistently getting value from them. Because even if they've just purchased from you, you still want to stay top of mind. Now let's go through an example if they didn't purchase. You came out to their house, you gave them a quote, and they said, not really feeling, I'm not really sure. I was just getting some estimates. Let's say that's an example. Well, in that situation, we would say the first step would be, they say that they're not interested in the pool. The next step may be you still give them that support. You still say 10 reasons why having a pool this summer is going to help you have a better summer, whatever that looks like for you, right? I'm literally thinking about this off the top of my head, but I really want you to think through what that looks like and how that can be beneficial to your customer to either one, help them make the decision and help you be the person who's going to be the person who they hire when they're ready to hire. And two, to help them see that you're credible, that you actually care and that you're providing value. When it comes to out serving everyone, it really comes down to being consistent and it comes to providing value. Even if you don't have a million testimonials, even if you haven't been in business for 10 plus years, it really is about showing your customer, your prospective customer, that you care more than the competitors. And more importantly, that you're committed to providing value, whether they decide to work with you today or never. You still are committed to providing that value. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Marketing Monday. If you have any questions in the replay, definitely make sure to leave them below and I will make sure that I respond once I see them. So thanks again for tuning in for Marketing Monday with me, Courtney Newell, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. See you then. Bye.